every ruler who has ever fallen, every empire that has crumbled to dust, violated at least one of Machiavelli's 7 cardinal laws of power. From Napoleon's exile to Caesar's assassination, from the collapse of kingdoms to the downfall of modern leaders, history is littered with the corpses of those who believed themselves above these ancient principles. But you, dear viewer, need not share their fate, for I am about to reveal the very laws they ignored, the cold mathematics of dominance that, once understood, cannot be unseen. The first law of power is this: clarity without mercy. A ruler who wishes to rise above the herd must see the world as it truly is, not as he wishes it to be. Most men fail here. They are blinded by their emotions, carried away by hope, and deluded by the sweet lies of morality. They believe life is fair, that loyalty is natural, and that justice governs human affairs. But you, if you seek power, must know that these illusions are shackles. To rule, you must strip away sentiment and see events in their raw, merciless form. When you make decisions clouded by compassion, by personal affection, or by fear of how others will judge you, you are not ruling, you are serving. The man of power does not ask, "What is kind?" He asks, "What is effective?" He does not ask, "What will make me liked?" He asks, "What will make me obeyed?" The distinction is everything, for the masses will respect a man who acts decisively, even if he wounds them. But they will despise a man who dithers and hesitates in the name of goodness. Consider the rulers who have fallen not because of weakness in arms, but weakness in vision. They believed that compromise could pacify their enemies, that goodwill could secure loyalty, that words could substitute for strength. They thought men were better than they are. But men are selfish, they are ambitious, they are driven by greed, envy, and fear. If you see them as noble, they will deceive you. If you see them as base, you can manipulate them. Ruthless clarity begins with this truth: men are not governed by morality, but by necessity. A ruler who sees clearly is never surprised. He expects betrayal before it comes, and so it does not wound him. He anticipates envy in the hearts of allies, and so he is prepared when they turn against him. He sees weakness in his own ranks, and he removes it before it festers. It is not that he is cruel for cruelty's sake, but that he values foresight over naivety. To be merciful in your vision is to blind yourself. To be ruthless is to open your eyes to what truly governs men. Do not confuse ruthless clarity with cold cruelty of action. That is another law. Clarity is about perception. It is about training yourself to cut through the fog of appearances, to see the naked truth of human nature and political necessity. Most men do not want to face this truth. They prefer the comfort of illusions. They tell themselves their friends will always be loyal, that their followers love them, that their enemies are too weak to strike. But the ruler who survives is the one who asks, "What if my friend turns? What if my followers betray me? What if my enemy is stronger than he appears?" In this way, ruthless clarity makes you unshakable, because nothing surprises you, nothing deceives you, nothing blinds you. Imagine a commander leading his army into battle. The sentimental man sees the faces of his soldiers and pities their suffering. He hesitates to make sacrifices, he refuses to make harsh choices, and in his weakness, he loses the war. The ruler of ruthless clarity sees the same soldiers and understands this: some must die so that the many may live. A few must suffer so that the cause is preserved. His clarity does not come from cruelty, but from a recognition of necessity. And because he acts with this cold clarity, he secures victory, while the other secures only ruin. This law is not merely for kings and princes. It is for any man who wishes to lead, to command, to hold his place in the hierarchy of life. In business, in politics, in war, even in your personal dealings, you will find that clarity is everything. The man who sees reality clearly will always dominate the man who hides behind comforting illusions. Ruthless clarity means you do not believe the mask others wear, you look for the truth beneath it. It means you do not mistake words for intentions, nor smiles for loyalty. It means you do not allow the softness of your own heart to corrupt the firmness of your judgment. Ask yourself this: how many times in your life have you been deceived because you wanted to believe in something good, something noble, something pure? How many times have you trusted a friend only to discover envy in his heart? How many times have you thought an enemy weak, only to be crushed by his strength? These failures come from a lack of clarity, from your refusal to see things as they are. And power has no patience for blindness. The second law of power is this: cruelty, when necessary, must be calculated. Many rulers fall because they misunderstand cruelty. They either avoid it altogether out of fear of appearing harsh, or they use it recklessly in bursts of uncontrolled rage. Both paths lead to ruin. Mercy without measure invites rebellion, while cruelty without strategy breeds hatred. True power lies in the middle path, where cruelty is used with precision as a surgeon wields his knife, cutting only where needed and only once. When cruelty is required, it must be swift, decisive, and complete. A ruler who punishes little by little creates only resentment that festers and grows. Men forgive a single, sudden blow, for in time it becomes a memory. But repeated injuries turn loyalty into bitterness, and bitterness into revolt. If you must be harsh, then be so in one strike, in such a way that no further action is necessary. Let your enemies tremble, your allies fall silent, and your people understand that resistance is useless. Fear, delivered in one decisive moment, secures order, but cruelty stretched over time destroys it. History gives us countless examples. The ruler who spares his enemies in the hope of mercy often finds that mercy is repaid with betrayal. The general who refuses to punish deserters harshly soon commands an army of cowards. The prince who tolerates conspiracies in his court will one day awaken to find the dagger at his throat. It is not kindness that prevents these outcomes. It is calculated cruelty. For cruelty, when wielded with foresight, eliminates danger at its root before it has time to spread. Consider this: men are more fearful of sudden terror than of lingering discipline. When a ruler delivers punishment at the right moment, his authority becomes unquestionable. His subjects obey not out of love, but out of necessity, for they know disobedience carries a cost too great to bear. And yet, if the ruler is wise, he will not wield cruelty often. He will use it sparingly, for the more rare it is, the more powerful it becomes. A single act of cruelty that defines a ruler's strength is remembered longer than 1,000 acts of leniency that signal weakness. There is also the matter of timing. Cruelty that is delayed loses its force. When an offense arises, if punishment is postponed, the offender grows bold, the people grow restless, and the ruler appears indecisive. But cruelty delivered at once, without hesitation, seizes control of the moment. It shows that the ruler is awake, alert, and unafraid. In this way, cruelty becomes not an act of malice, but an instrument of order. It maintains stability by making examples of those who threaten it. Understand this well: cruelty must always serve a purpose. If it is done for personal revenge, for uncontrolled anger, or for vanity, it weakens the ruler. Men will see him as petty, insecure, and unworthy of command. But if cruelty is done for the preservation of the state, for the safety of the people, for the survival of power itself, then it will be judged differently. Men may whisper of the ruler's severity, but they will respect him for keeping order. They will see that his cruelty was not driven by hatred, but by necessity. Let us take the example of a ruler faced with rebellion. If he forgives too easily, the rebels will see weakness and rise again. If he punishes half-heartedly, the survivors will nurse vengeance and plot against him. But if he crushes the rebellion swiftly, decisively, and in such a manner that no man dares to rise again, then his cruelty will save lives in the long run. For what is a single harsh strike compared to years of endless bloodshed caused by weak leadership? In this way, cruelty, though feared, becomes an act of preservation. The masses do not understand these calculations. They see cruelty and call it evil, because they cannot comprehend the weight of command. They judge with their hearts, not their minds. But the ruler cannot afford this luxury. He must see further than they see, and act colder than they would dare. For he knows that one harsh act, delivered wisely, prevents 100 harsher ones. To avoid cruelty entirely is to abandon order. To embrace it without restraint is to invite hatred. But to wield it with calculation is to secure stability, respect, and obedience. The third law of power is this: never reveal your true intentions. Power thrives in secrecy, and secrecy is the armor of the wise. The moment others understand your plans, your strength begins to wither. Men fear what they do not know, but once they can read your heart, they begin to predict your moves, to prepare their resistance, to weaken your control. The ruler who speaks openly of his desires and strategies hands his enemies the very knife they will use to destroy him. A wise man understands that most people are not guided by loyalty or friendship, but by self-interest. And so, to survive among such men, you must keep your intentions veiled behind a curtain of appearances. Let them see what you allow them to see, hear what you allow them to hear, believe what you allow them to believe. The most dangerous mistake in power is transparency, for transparency makes you vulnerable. When people know your next step, they can trap you before you take it. But when they are uncertain, when they cannot read your motives, they hesitate, they falter, and in that hesitation you rule. Throughout history, every shrewd ruler, every cunning general, every master of statecraft has lived by this law. They speak in half-truths. They smile when they plan conquest. They offer peace when they prepare for war. The art is not in lying, but in guiding perception. To control what others see is to control how they act. You need not reveal your true nature. You need only shape the illusion that serves your purpose. For men are not governed by reality. They are governed by what they think is real. This is why the open-hearted man rarely holds power for long. He believes honesty will earn trust, that openness will breed respect. But power is not a moral exchange, it is a game of masks. When you are honest with everyone, you strip yourself naked before a crowd of opportunists who are eager to exploit your candor. They will smile at your sincerity and sharpen their daggers in the same breath. The wise ruler, however, conceals his mind as carefully as a general conceals his strategy. He may speak of virtue, of mercy, of friendship, but these words are merely instruments of control, designed to cloak his deeper design. Do not misunderstand this law. It does not mean you must live as a liar. It means you must understand the value of ambiguity. To speak less than you know, to reveal only fragments, to let others fill in the gaps with their imagination. This is true mastery. Men will often deceive themselves more effectively than you could ever deceive them. Give them a hint of your intentions, and their minds will race to complete the picture in a way that benefits you. Let them believe they are close to you, that they understand you, that they have your confidence. In truth, they see only what you wish them to see, and this illusion gives you control over their loyalty. Consider the diplomat who hides his ambitions behind gentle words. He speaks of peace, of alliance, of cooperation, while his true purpose is to weaken his rivals from within. Or the leader who praises his subordinates publicly, while secretly removing those who grow too ambitious. This is not hypocrisy, it is strategy. For if you reveal your hand too soon, you give others time to react, to defend, to counter. But when your motives are hidden, your actions arrive like thunder, sudden, unstoppable, and beyond question. Men reveal themselves in their eagerness to be understood. They crave validation. They confess their dreams, their fears, their desires, hoping others will admire their honesty. But honesty is a luxury of the powerless. The man of power knows that silence is often more persuasive than words. The fewer people who understand your mind, the safer your power remains. When you speak, do so with layers. Let your words carry one meaning to the fool, another to the friend, and a third to yourself. This is how the wise navigate courts, councils, and conspiracies without ever being trapped by their own tongue. Understand also that secrecy alone is not enough. It must be accompanied by performance. You must master the art of appearance, the act of seeming open while being impenetrable. Speak with warmth, but reveal nothing. Share stories, but not truths. Confide small matters so that greater matters remain concealed. The illusion of transparency disarms suspicion. People trust most the man who seems incapable of deception, and that is the man who can deceive most effectively. When others believe they see your soul, they stop looking deeper. That is when you move freely, untouched, and unseen. Power does not belong to the one who speaks the most, but to the one who knows the most and reveals the least. When you hide your intentions, you command both fear and fascination. Men will wonder what you plan, what you desire, what your next step will be. They will speak of you with uncertainty, and that uncertainty becomes your shield. For the unknown is more powerful than the known, and mystery is the truest language of power. The fourth law of power is this: generosity must never come from emotion. It must come from calculation. Most people believe that giving makes them loved, that generosity builds loyalty. But they are mistaken. Gifts without purpose create dependence in the giver, not in the receiver. The wise ruler gives not because he is kind, but because he understands the hidden chain that generosity forges between men. Every coin, every favor, every word of kindness must be a tool of control, not an act of sentiment. Men are easily moved by gifts, for gifts flatter their vanity. They make them feel chosen, valued, superior. But their gratitude is shallow, and it fades quickly. The man who gives too freely creates not loyalty, but expectation. His generosity becomes a burden. His kindness becomes a debt he cannot collect. The moment he stops giving, the same hands that praised him will turn against him. This is why uncontrolled generosity is a poison. It drains power instead of building it. The ruler who gives without calculation weakens himself, for he teaches others to take him for granted. True generosity, therefore, is not measured by the size of the gift, but by its purpose. Every gift must bind a man closer. Every act of kindness must deepen dependence. Give only when it increases your influence. Give when it turns an enemy uncertain, when it silences a critic, when it buys the loyalty of a useful ally. Never give to ease your conscience or to seek affection, for affection fades, but obligation endures. The man who feels indebted to you may resent you, but he will still serve you. Gratitude is fragile. Necessity is eternal. In politics and in life, generosity is often used as a weapon. When a ruler distributes wealth, he does so not to share, but to claim. His generosity marks his subjects as his own. When a gift is accepted, it is not the receiver who gains power, but the giver. For a gift is a silent command. It whispers, "You owe me," and that whisper echoes long after the gift itself is forgotten. This is why powerful men often appear generous, yet their generosity is never random. It is a web spun with precision, where every thread leads back to control. A ruler must also know when not to give. Generosity that is constant loses its value. The man who always gives teaches others to expect, and expectations destroy respect. Deny your generosity often enough that when you do give, it feels like a blessing. The scarcity of your gifts increases their worth, and their worth increases your power. The more people desire your favor, the more tightly you control them. Learn to make your generosity unpredictable, neither too frequent nor too rare. Let it appear spontaneous, but always let it be calculated. There is also danger in giving too much too soon. Those who rise by your help will one day believe they deserved their elevation. Gratitude will decay into pride, and pride will breed rebellion. Therefore, when you give, do not give all at once. Let your gifts arrive in stages, each one just enough to remind them of your hand. Keep them slightly hungry, slightly uncertain. The man who feels completely satisfied forgets his master. The man who still hopes for more remains loyal. Control is maintained not through abundance, but through anticipation. Observe the patterns of men. When they give, they seek praise. When they receive, they forget the giver. The wise man inverts this. He gives quietly, strategically, in ways that make others feel his power even in his silence. His generosity does not shout. It whispers authority. It binds through subtlety. When a rival expects confrontation, he offers assistance. When a subordinate grows restless, he rewards him just enough to calm his ambition. His generosity disarms without weakening, conquers without battle. But remember, this generosity must never appear cold or calculated, even when it is. Let others believe your gifts come from your heart, that your kindness is sincere. This illusion makes your control invisible. The man who knows he is being manipulated will resist. The man who feels genuinely valued will surrender willingly. The art of controlled generosity lies not only in what you give, but in how you make it seem. A ruler who gives with charm hides his chains in velvet. And yet, perhaps the greatest act of generosity is restraint. To withhold when others beg, to delay when others expect, to create desire where there was none. This is true mastery. For the one who controls desire controls men themselves. Gold, favors, promises. These are not gifts, they are tools. Tools that shape loyalty, mold ambition, and bend pride. Give when giving increases your command. Withhold when it strengthens their hunger. In this balance lies the ruler's quiet dominion over the hearts of men. The fifth law of power is this. It is safer to be feared than loved. Men speak endlessly of love, but few understand its weakness. Love depends on loyalty, on affection, on gratitude, things that wither the moment they clash with self-interest. Fear, however, does not depend on the heart, it grips the mind. It binds men with chains they cannot break. Where love asks, fear commands. Where love pleads for loyalty, fear enforces it. And that, my friend, is the difference between a ruler who survives and one who falls. You see, men are not as noble as they pretend. They are fickle, ambitious, and self-serving. When you give them comfort, they adore you. When you deny them, they curse you. Love makes men feel entitled. They begin to believe you owe them kindness, that your mercy is their right. But fear keeps them humble. Fear reminds them of your power, of the cost of defiance, of the consequences of betrayal. And when the winds change, when your fortunes decline, the man who loves you will abandon you to save himself. The man who fears you will obey, even in silence. This truth may sound harsh, but power has no room for illusions. A ruler must learn that fear is the stronger glue, for it binds men's actions even when their hearts are uncertain. Fear does not require fairness, it only requires consistency. The man who knows the ruler will punish betrayal without hesitation, will think twice before turning his back. But when loyalty is built on affection, it depends on the mood of the moment, on emotion, on whim. And nothing is more fragile than the human heart. Yet fear, like all weapons, must be used with intelligence. A ruler who relies solely on terror destroys the very order he seeks to maintain. The key is not cruelty, it is control. Fear must be measured, predictable, and justified. Men must fear your power, not your madness. When fear becomes chaos, it turns to hatred. But when fear is rooted in respect, it becomes authority. People may not love the ruler who commands it, but they will obey him, and in obedience lies stability. For men do not need to love their master to follow him. They need only believe that disobedience is dangerous. Love makes promises. Fear delivers results. When you rely on love, you must constantly feed it, with attention, with favors, with praise. It demands effort, endless and exhausting. But fear requires no maintenance. It sustains itself through memory. Once a man learns that defiance has consequences, that lesson does not fade easily. Fear endures where affection dies, and endurance is the lifeblood of power. Consider the ruler who wishes to be adored. He softens his words, forgives his enemies, and listens to every complaint. For a time he is praised. His name is spoken with affection. But when crisis comes, when he must choose between popularity and authority, he hesitates. The people who loved him yesterday will abandon him today, for their love was never for him, only for what he gave them. The ruler who seeks love becomes a servant of the people's emotions. The ruler who commands fear becomes their master. The wise ruler, however, does not reject love entirely. He simply refuses to depend on it. Love can be used as a disguise, a decoration over the steel of command. Let your people see warmth in your face, but firmness in your hand. Speak softly, but act decisively. This way, you appear merciful while remaining unyielding. The illusion of love softens fear, making obedience seem voluntary. But never let affection guide your decisions, for the moment you act from emotion, you surrender control. In private dealings, this law applies as well. Among friends, colleagues, or allies, you must always be respected before you are liked. Men may enjoy the company of those they love, but they only obey those they fear disappointing. To command loyalty, you must cultivate an aura of strength, calm, unwavering, and slightly intimidating. Let others sense that you are not easily crossed, that even in kindness, there is a limit, that beneath your composure lies the quiet readiness to act without hesitation. When people feel this presence around you, they respect it. And that respect, more than affection, preserves your influence. Do not mistake fear for cruelty. Cruelty is chaos, fear is order. Fear is the silent understanding that your word carries weight, that your anger has consequence, that your favor has value. It is the invisible wall that keeps betrayal at bay. Men may whisper about your coldness, but they will never forget your authority. For love may win hearts, but fear secures loyalty. And in the hierarchy of power, loyalty is worth more than admiration, more than affection, more than all the fragile emotions men pretend to cherish. The sixth law of power is this: appearance is reality. In the realm of power, what men see is more important than what is true. You may possess wisdom, strength, or virtue, but if you do not appear to possess them, they are worthless. Men do not search for truth, they respond to perception. They see your face, your gestures, your reputation, and they build an image in their minds. That image, whether accurate or false, becomes your reality. Therefore, the wise ruler does not waste energy proving who he is. He crafts the appearance that serves his ambition. Every man lives behind a mask. The difference between the powerful and the powerless is that the powerful know it. The weak wear their emotions openly, believing that honesty wins trust. The strong choose their mask carefully, knowing that every glance, every word, every silence sends a message. A ruler's greatest weapon is not his sword, but the illusion he projects. Appear calm when chaos surrounds you. Appear merciful when you plan to strike. Appear humble when your pride burns within you. The art of appearance is not deceit. It is survival. Understand this: men judge more by what they see than by what they feel. The human eye is easily deceived, and perception is the foundation of loyalty, fear, and respect. If you wish to be obeyed, appear decisive. If you wish to be trusted, appear just. If you wish to be admired, appear generous. Appearances shape belief, and belief shapes reality. The world is not ruled by facts, it is ruled by impressions. A single rumor, a single image, can build or destroy a reputation faster than any truth ever could. The ruler who ignores this law falls not because he is weak, but because he is misunderstood. A man may act with the purest intention, yet be seen as cruel. He may rule with justice, yet be accused of tyranny. It matters not what he is, it matters what he seems to be. Therefore, control your image as a general controls his army. Do not let others define it. Let no rumor spread unchecked, no insult unanswered, no weakness unmasked. The moment your enemies shape your image, your power begins to erode. To master appearance is to master perception, and perception is the heart of authority. Men long for illusions. They prefer the appearance of virtue to virtue itself. They would rather serve a confident liar than an uncertain truth teller. Therefore, give them what they desire. Let them believe in your wisdom, your vision, your strength. Let them see in you the reflection of what they wish to follow. They will praise you for qualities you do not possess, defend you for motives they imagine, and serve you with a loyalty born not of understanding, but of faith. The illusion you build becomes their comfort and your control. This is why the most dangerous mistake is to reveal too much of yourself. When you expose your doubts, your fears, or your weaknesses, men no longer see a ruler. They see a man like themselves. And once they see you as their equal, they will no longer obey you. Keep your inner struggles private, your uncertainties hidden. Even in failure, appear unbroken. Even in defeat, appear unafraid. Power lies not in perfection, but in the illusion of perfection. It is not what you possess. It is what they believe you possess that commands obedience. Remember, too, that appearance can be used as a weapon. Your reputation can conquer enemies before battle even begins. A ruler known for ruthlessness will not need to act ruthless often. His name alone will inspire fear. A ruler known for fairness will gain the trust of men who have never met him. Therefore, cultivate your reputation as carefully as a king guards his crown. Every action, every word, every silence must serve the image you wish to project. Do not let chance decide how others see you. Decide it yourself and enforce it. When you walk among men, let your presence carry weight. Let your demeanor speak louder than your tongue. The way you move, the tone of your voice, the stillness of your expression, all these are tools of perception. A ruler who appears calm in crisis convinces others that he is in control. A ruler who appears confident when surrounded by doubt infects others with his certainty. The appearance of strength is often enough to create strength. For perception is not merely an illusion. It is a force that shapes reality itself. And yet, appearance must never appear false. The best illusion is one that seems effortless, one that feels genuine even when it is crafted. If you try too hard to look powerful, people will see your insecurity. If you boast of your virtues, they will question them. Let your image be subtle, natural, inevitable. Let others speak of your greatness, not you. Let them admire your confidence without knowing how carefully it was designed. The secret of appearance is mastery through invisibility, control without exposure, influence without confession. For those who understand this law need not always be right, they need only look right. And in the theater of power, that is victory enough. Conclusion, the final reflection. In the end, the cost of goodness is far greater than most are willing to pay. The world does not reward purity, it rewards perception, strength, and control. Those who cling to their goodness, without wisdom, become pawns in the games of the ruthless. But those who understand how to wear virtue as a weapon, how to appear noble while acting with precision, rise above the rest. Machiavelli's wisdom is not a call to cruelty. It is a call to clarity. To see the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. To master the art of appearance, control emotion, and act with strategy. For only then can a man move from being ruled by others to ruling his own fate. The wise do not abandon goodness. They refine it. They turn it into armor, into power, into influence. And in doing so, they stop living as victims of virtue and start living as masters of reality.